Hi there, business owner, and welcome to the 3Bs podcast, the place where we go beyond the numbers and dive into strategies to help you build a better business one step at a time. I'm your host, Stephanie, a multi-award-winning entrepreneur with over a decade of experience in the bookkeeping and accountancy world. If you're a business owner looking to streamline, grow, and get back the time that you deserve, you're in the right place. We're tackling real-world problems, answering tough questions, and digging deep into business-building secrets in just 15 minutes each week. So are you ready to build a better business with confidence and clarity? Then let's go. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the 3Bs podcast, your go-to place for 15 minutes of motivation, education and inspiration each week. As always, I'm your host Stephanie. Hi, straight talking bookkeeper, business strategist, and the one who'll say what your accountant probably won't. Now today's topic is all about VAT. Yeah, that one. Whether you're charging it, avoiding it, or pretending it doesn't apply to you, today is the episode to finally get clear and understand it. Because VAT or VAT is one of the easiest taxes to get wrong, and one of the fastest ways for you to get into trouble if you ignore it for too long. So let's get stuck into it. So let's start with the basics. VAT or VAT stands for Value Added Tax. It's a tax that you charge on the goods and services that you sell if you are registered. Now the standard rate in the UK is currently 20%, but there are also reduced rates at 5% and zero rates for certain industries. Think kids' clothes and books for zero rated, and energy bills usually have a reduced 5% rate. Here is the important bit. If you are not VAT registered, you don't charge it. If you are VAT registered, you have to charge it and pay it to the HMRC, minus what you are claiming from VAT inclusive costs that you have spent or purchased throughout that period. It's not your money, you're just the middleman. And I see so many business owners get into trouble and hot water when they think that all the money that comes into the business is theirs and they're not setting aside the VAT bit that's not actually their money to start with. So let's talk thresholds. As of now, August 2025, the VAT registration threshold is 90% of VAT taxable turnover in any 12-month period. Now, it's so important to remember that it's not just your set financial year, it's not the year that you run to on the calendar, or the financial year from April to April. It's any 12-month rolling period. So every time a new month starts, the bottom month drops off, and that 12-month rolling period, if you hit £90,000 in that period, you have to register for VAT. Now, it's important for you to check that month by month as a rolling turnover. So at ABCS UK, we naturally do it for all our clients anyway. So if you have a bookkeeper or accountant, check to see if they're doing that for you. If not, ask them to do it or start doing it yourself. If you need help on figuring out how to do that, if you use Xero or QuickBooks, do drop me a message. I can send you a quick video so that you know how to find that information. It's important to note that once you do go over, you have 30 days to register. So it's, again, something that needs to be checked month by month as a minimum. You can also register voluntarily before hitting the threshold, and for some businesses that's a really smart move. If you are looking to build a business and you plan to get to that £90,000 of VAT taxable turnover in a 12-month period, sometimes it's worth registering voluntarily for VAT before hitting the threshold so your customers don't suddenly get a 20% increase on your pricing once you do go over that threshold. I think it's important to speak to an expert about this because it definitely is important to see whether that's going to be VAT taxable turnover first and foremost. So I have a client who sells children's clothing, so their turnover is over 90,000, but their VAT taxable turnover is not over 90,000. There's also clients that are currently not at 90,000, but intend to get over that 90,000. So for them, and they are B2B, so business to business, and they're dealing with a lot of VAT registered customers. So it makes sense for them to register for VAT early. Also means their clients can claim back that 20% that they are paying on the invoices, and you can start getting into the habit before it becomes mandatory for you. Now, it's important to know once you're VAT registered, you can reclaim VAT in your business purchases, even if you're not at the threshold yet, if you do register voluntarily. But that does also mean charging VAT to your customers, which can change your pricing. So again, speak to an expert, make sure that it's the right move for you if you are going to register voluntarily, or see if it's not worth doing and something to do later down the line. Now, as a bookkeeper and accountant, VAT is something we see every single day in the practice, and there's some really common slip-ups that we do see. So here's some of the biggest mistakes that we see so that you don't have to make them because me or a client has already made those before. Forgetting the rolling threshold is number one, as we've just said. People often look April to March or January to December and they think they're fine, because that 1 or 2 really great months can really impact that turnover and that threshold if you're close. They don't realise that it's a 12-month rolling period to July, for example. So again, check that month on month. Number 2, one of the biggest mistakes is charging VAT before that they have registered. It's actually illegal. You can't just add 20% because you think you're close. You must be registered to charge VAT to your clients or customers. Number 3, again, not putting money aside. If you collect VAT, you will need to pay it to the HMRC. If you spend it, that's when we start having big cash flow problems and you start getting penalties and fines from the HMRC too. Number 4, claiming back VAT on non-business items or exempt items. It's really important that you learn and understand, or get somebody to explain to you, the different VAT types and the different places on the VAT return that needs to go. HMRC are incredibly strict. They're very picky. If you are unsure, do ask. Don't assume you can claim it all. So if you are, one of the biggest ones we see is where they have a mobile phone bill, for example. So they have a company mobile phone bill, but actually 50% of the usage is personal use. Even though there's VAT on that phone bill, you cannot claim the VAT on the personal element, so that has to be journaled out and that has to be kept separate, and you can't claim the VAT back on the personal use. Other things are postage. So most postage from Royal Mail is actually exempt, rather than no VAT or zero rated VAT or all the different VAT codes that you can have on your accountancy software. It's actually exempt unless you get into the parcel sizes, when there's usually VAT. So again, it's just knowing that difference. I have a client who sells seeds, so for heritage flower seeds and vegetable seeds, to businesses and individuals across the UK. And a general rule of thumb is if it's edible, then that seed is zero rated for VAT. And if it's a flower or a plant non-edible, it's 20% standard rate VAT. Except for, there's a list of 9 Latin variants on the VAT government website where you can zero rate those particular flower seeds. And that has changed recently and can change frequently on what is then allowed. So keeping up to date with what's zero rated, 20% VAT, reduced VAT, is really important because it can change too. And finally, the big mistake is ignoring it completely. Just because you haven't had a letter doesn't mean they're not watching you. HMRC use data matching technologies now. They will find you if you are misclaiming, underclaiming, overclaiming, not registered when you should be. So it's important to get this straight and not bury your head in the sand. If you don't know it, that's completely okay. You started your business to run your business. If you're not starting a business to do VAT returns, you won't understand VAT, and that's okay. Come and see an expert like us who do understand it and do it every single day, so that you have got it straight and you don't have to worry about getting it wrong or that brown letter on the doorstep from HMRC. So I guess the question you probably have is, should you register voluntarily before you hit the threshold? As I said earlier, it depends, but here are some examples when it might make sense. So if you buy a lot of materials, stock or equipment with VAT on it, being able to reclaim that is quite important. That can be quite a big benefit for you. If your clients are VAT registered and won't be bothered by the fact that you're charging VAT, that's the big one. If you are B2B, if you're selling business to business rather than to an individual consumer, and the clients that you're dealing with are already VAT registered, they can reclaim that 20%. So it's not as big of a hit and you don't have to worry about increasing your costs if you're already registered and they're already reclaiming it. And if you want to look more established, now that sounds really vain, but what I mean is some of the bigger B2B clients expect VAT invoices as a sign that you are serious as a business owner, even if it's just you and you're a solopreneur, especially when you think of companies like, who have we dealt with? Waitrose. So Waitrose, John Lewis, they have a purchase order system, and if you're not VAT registered, it's really hard to get registered as a supplier on their system. Most governments and councils, because they use these purchase order systems, they expect you to be VAT registered. So without that VAT number and without a VAT invoice, it's actually harder and longer to get paid. But there's also scenarios where it definitely doesn't make sense. So if you sell to consumers, if you are a product-based business who sell to individual consumers who are going to really feel the extra 20%, then it wouldn't make sense to register early and start charging that when you don't need to, because that extra 20% might actually price you out of the market and therefore you lose all of your sales. Your prices are already at the top end of your market, again, is another one. So if you're already premium, you're already at the very top end of your market, adding 20% on the top just might tip you over and make that purchasing decision to purchase from you a little harder than it was before. And if you don't have the systems in place to manage it properly, if you're not using accountancy software, if you're not regularly doing your bookkeeping, if you're ignoring it all until year end, not having those systems in place, you're going to get caught quite frequently. But to be honest, it's not a one-size-fits-all answer. That's why we talk it through with our clients on a one-on-one basis, based on their goals, not just HMRC's rules. Because when it comes to voluntary registration, your business isn't unique. There could be 6 of you that are all selling the same thing in the same type of company, and it would make sense for some of you to go VAT registered and not for others. So just because you and your mate down a pub both run the same construction business does not necessarily mean that you should do what they're doing. You should definitely seek the help from the expert and not Dave down the pub. So let's make that work for you. If you are VAT registered or are about to be, this is how we can make it nice and easy for you. Use software like Xero, FreeAgent or QuickBooks. Don't try and wing it in a spreadsheet. These softwares are worth their weight in gold. I know it's another cost and a monthly subscription, but having it there for you, they've already mapped things in the formats that they expect it to be, so you can go on and input your receipts, your VAT in and out, and they will collate that into the VAT return section for you to go through and then manually review each quarter. Keep your receipts and invoices organised so you can prove your claims if needed. It's not uncommon for a first VAT return to have a VAT check or a VAT inspection on, because quite often you can reclaim up to 4 years of goods with VAT on when you do go VAT registered if you weren't previously, and 6 months you can go back for services, which usually means if you've been running your business for a while and then go over the threshold and you are quite heavily product based, as in you buy quite a lot in with VAT on, there's normally a big reclaim in that first quarter, and that usually because of the HMRC's data check-in that they do now, that usually flags some sort of review or inspection. So having the receipts and invoices organised so you can prove your claims is incredibly important. I do recommend having a tool. So if you use Xero, you can get HubDoc for free. We use Apron Capture in the practice, but there's also many other alternatives out there where you can take a picture of your receipt, forward your email to a unique inbox, attach them to the transactions on your accountancy software, so it's nice and simple should a claim ever need to be checked. Understand the difference between the flat rate and the standard rate VAT scheme. Now, I will definitely cover this in a later episode, but the standard scheme is the 20% that we were talking about, but there's also sometimes a flat rate scheme where you charge a flat rate rather than claim your individual expenses. Again, speak to an expert, a bookkeeper or an accountant. The flat rate percentages change depending on what your main industry is. So if you've got a business that have multiple industries, it's your main industry that they take. It can be 6%, it can be 18%. And depending on that, may or may not be worth you having a flat rate scheme. You might be better off on the standard scheme. It's important to file on time. Late returns equal fines, and now you have like penalty points as well. So you can get a late refiling penalty and a late payment penalty, just like with your self-assessments and your annual accounts. The penalties for submission and payment are separate. So if all else fails, getting those filed on time is incredibly important. Making sure they're accurate before you do so. Don't just send them in and guess. But file on time is incredibly important, and pay if possible. Start putting that money away. And if you cannot afford it and you have made the mistake of charging VAT and spending all of it and not putting it to one side, the HMRC do have lots of ways that you can help set up like payment plans and things. So don't worry too much. The HMRC are there to help you in that instinct. They're not there to hurt you or your business. If you're not sure how to file your VAT, we can do it for you properly. We can check it all for you. We can take the bookkeeping away from you as well, so that you know it's all been dealt with above board. And again, don't have to fear that HMRC brown envelope hitting the doorstep. Now you see, that is one of the most misunderstood parts of running a business. It doesn't have to be a nightmare. I know people are scared of it, but it really doesn't have to be a nightmare. Know the rules, know your numbers, and get help if you need it, and you will be okay. If you're on the edge of the threshold or not even sure if you should register, come and chat to us at ABCS UK. You can book a discovery call with us. It's a free 15-minute chat with me to go through some of your concerns, and we can see if a power hour or a regular monthly a planned service with us would be a better fit for you. It's not about forcing you to register. It's about giving you the information to make the best call for your business. You can head to abcsuk.com to book the discovery call or drop into my DMs. I'm more than happy to have a conversation with you. And if this episode gave you clarity today, please do forward it to another business owner. Ignoring VAT does not make it go away as much as we would love it to. And my absolute mission is to help us all build better businesses. So if you could just forward this episode on to any of your business owner friends who maybe are near the VAT threshold or are scared about VAT, or they've mentioned running a business and they don't understand VAT, hopefully this short, sharp episode will help them to understand it a little bit better, or to reach out if they need help. So that's it for this week's episode. I hope it's been helpful for you. Please do like, rate and review wherever you're listening to it. It takes 2 seconds, but it really helps the algorithm push this out to more business owners. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you are made aware of next week's episode. Episodes of the 3Bs podcast go live every Thursday, 6 a.m. on podcast platforms, 8 a.m. on YouTube. And I will really thank you for that, because it really will help me. Next week, we are talking expenses, or what you can claim, what you can't, and what will get you flagged by HMRC. It's what we did this very early on. I think it was episode 2, and it was one of the most popular episodes. So it's time to update it, bring it back round, and add more information to help you build a better business. I'll see you next week for the next one. Bye. And that brings us to the end of another episode of the 3Bs podcast. I hope you found it useful and that you're walking away with some motivation, inspiration, or education to help you build a better business. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and of course connect with us on social media for more insights, tips, and behind the scenes content. Your next step in building a better business is just a click away. I can't wait to connect with you, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.